to the first episode of Team Bonerifics Cardcast. This is our podcast on Yu-Gi-Oh! And its many intricacies, and some of the things that we are going to talk about today include, we'll get to that. First, we have a sponsor for today. Dylan, he's not with us, but he did give me $5. That's our sponsor. And Gabe, who
Nice.
gave me Secret Evenlies for Christmas.
Sick.
All right,
Awesome.
that's our two sponsors. So, my name is Connor. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
My name's Adam.
I'm Alex.
Okay. Now, we all play Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast. If you're not here for Yu-Gi-Oh!, get away, go away. But everything else, this format, I've been enjoying it so far. How about you guys?
I think this format's pretty interesting. I mean, I think it's way better than some previous formats we've had in a while. I think it's good. It's very diverse, but there are some pretty brain dead decks that aren't fun to play against.
True.
Yeah.
We'll get to those.
I really like the format.
We'll get to those.
Yeah.
But
I like the format. I like the diversity.
see, we
And,
got
you know,
three agreements on liking the format right here.
Perfect.
We'll need someone to play devil's advocate, but we'll get there. Because I think there's some things in the format that do need addressed. I will say, but
I'm sure we'll agree somewhere later in this conversation.
before we get to discussing that, we need to make sure these people know we know what we're talking about. So they need to know how long we've been playing the game, what we play, what we're good at, any accomplishments if we have any. I'll start it off because I'm really good at the game. I have been playing for a long time, since like 2008 probably. I was like a child then. And my first deck was Elemental Heroes with like the vanilla stuff. And then I moved on to Black Wings as my first real deck. I don't have anything past a regional top, but I've got some regional tops, and then I win a lot of locals. So
All right. I've been playing since what, late 2016 or 2016?
Late 2016.
Late 2016. Shout out to Zoo format. Dear God, that's when I got in the game, and I've also been playing. I've been playing ever since. I haven't really stopped. I also don't have anything past regional tops. I got a few, pretty cool. Something I guess like I'm pretty good at technical play. I would say I kind of have a lot of pride in that aspect. Might be better than these two bozos. Maybe not might, definitely am.
what about you,
Oh,
Alex?
well, certainly are. We'll get to that at 05.
I've got a couple regional tops. I've topped one or two OTS championships, but other than that, I mean, just locals.
Nice.
We'll get the YCS one day.
Nice. Yeah, we'll give them a taste of the kind of play styles we have. So some of my favorite decks include Thunder Dragons, pure only. Samurais. I do like Samurais. That's the deck I got my first regional top with. Pretty much a lot of the back row decks I'll enjoy. Dynamorphia, we'll talk about that. That's one I've been enjoying. Flunder's been pretty enjoyable. How about you guys? I know you guys enjoy your fair share of decks.
All right. My favorite deck of all time is ABC. That deck it has a special place in my heart for sure. I also do enjoy playing Adamancipator and Live Twins.
Wow.
Some Trickstar in there.
Adamancipator.
I like
right.
a lot of mid-range decks. I don't like too control-y, but I don't like huge combo decks either.
All right, Alex.
Uh,
How about
yeah.
you?
My favorite deck of all time is currently Plunder Patrol,
Mm-hmm.
Pirates best.
All right. I can. All right.
But I did like Invoked for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for that one.
I hated ABC up until the point where I decided to play it last year.
Yeah, because he joined me.
Then it became fun. I did play Thunder Dragon for a bit. That was fun. That deck was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, Dragon
Yeah, we
Link
had
has had a
smoke.
few.
Heck,
I do remember when you played the Dragon Link, the Dragon combo with that was with Destrudo and all that, right?
No, I played it
No?
right before LP got.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. Yeah. All right.
And then I got rid of it because I was like, this deck's getting hit.
Well, there was that's our introduction there. So now we can start getting into some real topics that we have scheduled for anyone who stumbles across this on the dark web. So our first topic, I've been seeing a lot of these. If any of you that watch this podcast, if you do, or anyone that's in the void with us, you might be on
The metaverse?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitter as well. And if you are, you might know that they do quite a bit of complaining. They like to complain a lot. And one thing that they complain about, no matter what format it is the format. So, they're complaining about this format, which I think is a very good format, is bad. And not only are they saying it's bad, I've been seeing people go so much as saying that they miss the last format, which I think is just crazy in general to say, because the last format was terrible in my opinion.
at the time we're recording this, the last format was Tier 0, Tier Element format. That was
They had
cancer.
full.
It was a good format, but it was not as good as the format we have now.
It was a good format if you had like Tearlament at full power and like you would like took the time and all this stuff to know about it, but like it was just a bunch of mirror matches and like they didn't look fun. The mirror matches did not look even fun. They weren't even look fun like mirror matches. Like the famous thing that everyone brings up is the YCS. What, it was a YCS, right, where they had the entire table filled with cards because of the chain links going on.
Yeah, that was insane to look at, dude. It's a very skillful mirror match for sure, but skillful doesn't always mean great,
But like,
and that's horrible.
I will admit it takes some skill to play Tearlaments and all that, but like, I feel like a lot of this skill just came down to like recognizing where your chain links are at and like what order you got to put them in. Like, I don't know, man.
You gotta think a lot when you do it.
But
In that mirror match, you have to think like multiple like turns ahead and multiple plays, and it was just, I mean, dude, your IQ had to be at least above freezing to be able to win that mirror.
what
Which
the what's it for the? Oh yeah, the pizza is here. We got a pizza for our podcast members. This is another sponsor.
Yes.
Giannino's is sponsoring the podcast. They gave us a pizza.
That is not true.
It is
Geno's
true.
not sponsoring.
They are
But if
sponsoring
Geno's
us.
wanted to No. If they wanted to sponsor us,
No, they're
World.
doing it legally right now. They're sponsoring us. And
shut up.
right now also, since we've talked about it, Cash Tira. We've all talked about this format and enjoying it. So, what I have written down here. Do we think this is worse than Cash Tier, or this is worse than tier format? Is that the consensus? No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
So then,
No.
if we agree on this podcast, which is pretty much the governing opinion, that this format is good and that last format was at least worse. If we're not saying it's bad, but it was at least worse.
Yes, last format was a good format, but it's not as good as this one.
And then we got to go through. So what have been the results? What has made this format good? Well, I think the first thing, yes, first thing is Tearlament's dead. Because that deck was like, what? How much representation did they take up of like topping stuff?
It was like over 80%.
So, and now, like, I just saw something on like YouTube from a random regional report, and the pie chart was like a million different little subcategories of stuff, and like, so you got like, what? We got Traptrix, Labyrinth, Kashtira, Runic, like 8 different Runic variants.
You got Sprite still in there. You got Despia.
You know what I saw on freaking the DB Grinder, this guy's YouTube. You know what I saw on the high rated section? For hire Runics. All right, if we're in a format where for hire Runics is like duking it out here with the top contenders, I think it's a decent format. I think we're surviving.
That card, no, dude, that deck draws just a lot of cards.
I know it draws I know it has like a draw 12 or something, but like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like, it's for hire Runic. Like, come on.
Yeah, dude, you got those monsters for hire coming in with the heat.
Like, I know what the Raphael one is kind of decent. Isn't he like a pop or something?
He's a monster negate, and then Wiz is a spell. Maybe Trap Negate, I don't remember. And then the other, like, Beat is a Rhoda, then they have a Pop.
Like, isn't the problem with the deck that you have to play, like, a bunch of them?
Not anymore, because the new spell they got is, like, it, like, tutors another one out. Like,
that rookie for hire thing?
And then, you, like, tribute one, and then it summons one out with, like, something else. Or something like I don't know exactly what it does, but it's like actually really broken.
So, as you can see, you know, if we got Runic for hire out here being broken, then if this was last format, I guarantee you for hire would be in everybody's penny bargain bin trash right now, because it would not be doing garbage to Tearlaments or Ishizu full power, none of that.
Also, without Tearlaments in the meta and everything, we got plants in the meta game.
Yeah,
plants can actually kind of like they can play through a Kashtira board as long as you actually have zones. All you need is 2 zones in plants. You can break the whole board.
And we got and so that's another thing I wanted to bring up about this format, because it's kind of like a con, I guess people have been saying, is zone locking. People don't like zone locking. And people have been saying, like, okay, people have been saying, as we said before, with the board, the crazy board with the full cards on it from the YCS, now people have been showing the board with no cards on the board because they've been blocked by the zones.
I'll say, that is really annoying, and it's definitely, like, toxic, and I think they should address one card to just get rid of it. And it would make the deck just the same as where it is. If you just got rid of, like, Mind Hacker, which it doesn't even need a ban, but it gets rid of all of those zone locking. Like, it gets rid of that whole combo. So then you're just playing Kashtira without that. Most people don't even go for it anymore. They go for, like, a Rise Heart and, like, just pass, protect the cap.
Is it true that you two have both played Kashtira?
Yeah, we pre-ordered it and sold it in like 2 weeks.
So these two are speaking from experience.
Now, we didn't really. I will say we didn't do the whole Rise Art pass. He did. He played the deck longer than I did.
For a couple days.
Yeah, but that's enough testing to get. You tried the Rise Art pass.
I really like it.
And let me tell you, he got mollywomped every time he did it. Bro. Like he would go Rise Art pass, and I go, cool, bro. I'm a normal summon a Lokai.
See,
that's pretty cool.
Because what we're talking about is a Rise Heart pass for people who don't know and aren't super good at the game like us. Lava Golem is a card that tributes 2 monsters on the opponent's field to summon itself to their field. So, you just tribute the Shangri-La and the Arise Heart, and now your zones are free and you aren't banishing cards. And they have a Lava Golem now. That is why people were just ending on a Rise Heart because it's just a macrocosmos.
It was also the 4th summon, so it played around Nib.
Yes, that was another card that was a problem. And this is all what we're saying is why zone locking is not that much of an issue because, one, the amount of times that they're really zone locking you for 5, they're really just doing that because they're like going all out. Like they're just balls to the wall going for it. And like, or they just have like super nuts.
You can get all 5 of your zones locked.
You did it a lot.
Just get the game.
I mean, it's not the hardest thing.
Different than it's no different than any like semi-consistent FTK. It loses to like a single thing.
I don't even think it's an FTK because I don't think it's any different from like putting an Ibly on the board.
Well, okay, so the issue with it losing just it's like, sure, you stop them from doing all 5 zones, but like you don't stop them from making just a still really good board.
Not
so
really
like,
and I don't.
Nib,
It's
sure, like
it's no different from like. I can't even say because I was gonna say it's no different from a barrier statue, but it's like it still is. Like I feel in a way it's almost easier to out than a barrier statue. Like. There's so many ways to do it because if they lock all your like, you're always gonna be left with like a zone at some point.
Well, yes.
Unless they get that like full on like I've really only seen that like one time, the full on like 10 zone blockade like.
No, they can't lock 10 zones like on the turn 0. They lock like 5 zones. The issue with any kind of zone lock like that is like you can have it out, and like you said, the out is like Lava Golem. That hinders decks that can't play Lava Golem out of the format because like the only out to them they can't play.
But that's why there's like Book of Moon and Eclipse, Kaijus.
Your back row.
But then they can hit the back row and you can't do it. The only argument for that would be is like you could play Kaijus. But then you gotta play Kaijus.
I mean, that's what people are doing.
I know Kaijus aren't bad.
And there's other stuff like I know you can't Panker Tops it because it's just not destroyed. But cards like we'll talk about, Alpha Master of Beasts, things that are non-destruction removal.
But yeah. So like, Alpha will lose to the Arise Heart, but also it depends. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so hard because sometimes they go for back row, sometimes they go for like mod.
Well, one of the things that also that I think is the thing is I think there's way bigger. Well, okay, maybe not way bigger, but there is a bigger issue, and it's the gimmick puppet.
True, that is definitely
that
a bigger
is way
issue.
more consistent.
Well, it's more consistent, and it just has to like touch the board. Like
the only out. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, it just has. That's the thing. Like, doesn't it just have to touch the board, right? It's like a Azathoth.
It doesn't have to. Yeah.
The only out is technically because they bring it back off of expulsion. So basically, if one of the targets is in graveyard,
you can go spell it.
You can spell it.
But
that's about it.
But good players will either
banish all their targets,
or 2, I guess if they're good enough, they'll just put a Dragoon in the gated.
Or Mercurier,
but that card's bad.
Yeah, so I think Gimmick Puppet is definitely like, and I've seen people complaining about it, but nowhere near on the level of zone locking. Or even a Rise Heart.
Yeah.
Even a Rise Heart, I haven't seen people complaining about it as much.
Yeah,
I mean,
but also you could, we'll get to this later, but you could contact see a Despia player and they can't do it. I don't think they can, full board you after that.
No. Contact see a Despia player, they can't do shit.
They can make the Sprint fusion. Not the link, but the fusion. But I don't think they can do much after that.
I feel, I think it just weakens their board. I don't think it really. I mean,
I don't think they can set up motion plays.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess kind of off topic here, but on the same topic, is the gimmick puppet the problem, or is Expulsion the problem? Because this is now the third time Expulsion's been a problem. First with Scythe, then they did Ross Disciple, now Gimmick Puppet. So is Expulsion the problem?
You could just get rid of Branded Fusion altogether, and that's all right.
I am down.
You just get rid of Despia.
I'm down for it.
I mean, yeah, Despia. Okay, we all hate Despia here. So if anyone here watches Despia, you're not gonna enjoy what our opinions are on the deck, because
you're not gonna enjoy what's gonna happen in a few minutes.
Well, okay. I think, yes, branded expulsion is an issue that needs to be addressed, but in the same way that also the gimmick puppet needs to be addressed, because I don't think that something should just, like, Scythe also is another example, should just be generic in a way that you can just...
So then do you want to ban the Ross Disciple then too?
No. Well, that's the thing. We have to look at him by case, because you don't know in the future, will Ross Disciple have a combo? Like, who knows? That's the thing. Like,
I'll summon 2 more.
But no, like, I'm talking about, like, for these summoning, like restriction things, like Scythe and stuff like that. Like, being able to hit it being able to, like, summon it back on your opponent's turn. And even, like, Drytron with Chaos Max and Dynamundo, where they can, like, do we hit Dynamundo or do we hit Chaos Max? Because in that case, I don't think Dynamundo is the problem. I think Dynamundo is good ritual support, and it's Chaos Max that's the problem.
No, I think you just hit... I think you ban Ben 10 and put the Drytrons to 1, and it's all good.
So, it's funny you mentioned this. I actually played against a Drytron player today at Locals, and he did that combo. But, like, in the draw phase, I, like, discarded Keldo, a shuffler, to the graveyard. So when he would try and target, I just went, cool, bro, that just sucks to be you. And shuffled it away. Yeah. And then I just full combo. I just broke his board because he didn't set up a board. It's like an IP.
That's another thing. It also doesn't help Drytrons because it's just another dark that loses to Bestials. Like,
yeah,
it just gets banished. But, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Dynamundo, I don't think is a problem. And I don't think, and that's the thing, you could argue he's a problem for future card design, but, like, just don't design another Chaos Max.
No, I think you're right. I think Dynamundo is a very good card. Like, people sometimes forget, like, we're still a card game. Like, we can have good cards in the game, and, like, it's fine. Just don't make absurd cards.
Yeah, like
you know, the ones that don't let people play the damn game.
You know what? They weren't like, no one was expecting them to make, like, a combo to summon this random Dark Magician ritual on your opponent's turn. So yeah, they gave it an effect that was crazy on your turn. But, like, I mean, I don't know. At the same point, you have to realize, like, how many cards do we have in this game now at this point? Like 15,000 or some shit in the pool. There's something crazy. So we need to get proactive with the design. I think it's an issue of, like, what you were saying before, where designing it is, they need to think more on the future head, and what you're talking about with Ross Disciple, like, yes, branded expulsion, I agree, is somewhat of the problem, but in this instance, I think Gimmick Puppet is more of the issue, just because of how powerful it is.
I think what they're doing is, not doing, because they don't really do it anymore, like, probably the latest case is with that Dark Magician ritual. They're just making these cards have broken effects, but they're just generic. Like, there's no restriction to summoning them, or, like, sure, it's a ritual, but, like, all it takes is one good ritual archetype to come out. And then, as we have Drytron. Like, they're just making everything super generic, which is kind of, if you gave them some sort of restriction to it, I think you can have powerful cards, like, with those exact same effects, but just don't make them, like, splashable.
Point in case, if we had never had if Isolde had just said, a Noble Knight plus
Yeah.
a warrior.
True.
So we never would have had Goki.
Yeah.
True.
That shit would have
True.
never happened.
Dark Warrior, Goki, all that.
At the same time, like, you have to look at it. Ra's Disciple, you didn't really need a restriction on it before, and like you really don't need a restriction on it now. And same thing with the gimmick puppet. It's a gimmick puppet, guy. Like,
Yeah, well,
it's
that's
a
why it's gone untouched for like what? It came out like what? Probably what? Zexal was like 2012, 10 years probably
Yeah.
ago. So yeah,
These cards are older, so like I guess like it doesn't like those don't count. But like the Blackluster Soldier one, I guess it's a ritual, so it's kind of fine. But like now nowadays they do need to watch what they put out because like TCG NA loves to break the crap out
Yeah.
of any broken. They'll do any bad combo to do it.
I feel like they're just trying to not put too many restrictions on things because whenever a good card comes out, but it's got a restriction, it automatically gets looked over because we all just look at it and go, cards
Yeah,
bad.
but the thing is, they need to start conditioning us to to look at it and be like, okay, we have restrictions in the game now.
and
Get used to it.
well, this is a topic I think we can cover on in another one as well. But I think they have a problem of like over restricting cards and under restricting cards. Like there's very few cards that they meet right in the middle. Like there's very few cards that they make and they're just like, this is good payoff, good cost, and like balanced game design. But then like there's the ones where they're like, yeah, we're gonna make like what the best card of 2017, Sea Monster of Thesis, and then like Masterpiece that they don't like mention a single time or something. Like, yeah, bro, like they need to work on like what they're making in these for their power. But
I think they just wanted to make a meme that year.
Like,
I mean, it was a good meme.
Like, my man, they said normal summon one
No,
monster.
it's Arceus.
Yeah, I know. You got an Ixie monster off one monster. You
But,
combo off a Raptor.
So
You kidding
now that we've established like what some of the like what people have been complaining about, do we think there's any problems? Like, is there any notable things in this format that other than gimmick puppet and like maybe some zone locking? I don't really think there's anything. Maybe like the next dumbest thing I can think of is like runic fountain looping, but
So,
that's really it.
I don't think the looping is more of the problem. I think it's more of the fact of like, I honestly think Runic's fine. I don't think there's anything.
I mean, I think it's fine now as well. I'm just saying, like, that's probably like that's probably the next best thing I can think of for like
I think
what
I don't know. I
what's,
think they designed Runic very well. Like you get all these like
They made it a
they're-
lot better than Striker.
Well, no, they're like striker cards.
Well,
Like,
it comes out
each
with-
card is just a utility, but they also get a summon. But you don't get a battle phase, and that's like kind of
Yeah.
big.
yeah, that's a big one. A lot of times,
Sure,
and well, the thing is, okay, everyone that's watching this, watch your runic players. They will forget. They will battle phase. They will
it's
attack.
true.
You
Never
have
once have I done.
you
That's
have to. I know you've done it, Alex. I know you've entered your battle phase before. I know you have. I know both of you have.
I have not.
No!
Dude,
Yeah,
every runic
yeah.
player will say, "Dude, I've never attacked when I've activated a runic card. And I've never done that."
Nah, dude.
Just like every Prank Kids player fusions their cards legally, right? Yeah. Every Prank Kids player has no restriction on Pandemonium all of a sudden. Yeah.
Okay, another thing. Like, I think Runic's fine. I don't think that is actually an issue. This isn't too much of an issue, but like it's going over to that like hard locking where you can't do it like the game of stuff. Ibly is kind of a thing.
I really like not seen very much Ibly stuff,
No.
I'll be honest.
No, I don't see a lot of Ibly, but like you
They're trying to
see
get rid of like the locking
you
stuff.
see a lot of people side deck strictly for Ibly.
Yeah.
It's not all right. But if you get hit with an Ibly, you just done.
Well, and that's the thing, like, if you get rid of Gimmick Puppet, like, and Mind Hacker, like, it's just Ibly next. Like, that's just what's
that's
what's
the
going
thing.
down.
That's why I was saying Ibly, because you get rid of those, and then you Then they're like, okay, well, now what else can we do to like make my opponent not play? They see that little girl and they go, all right, it's game time.
I think so. All right, I think that was a good. We've been on the format for a while. Talk about. So since the whiny babies are complaining about this format and they can't handle Kashtira, we might as well give them some help, and we'll discuss board breakers and hand traps and what to play, what not to play, because everyone seems to be having a super hard time with this baby easy, super easy deck. But we'll help them.
Well, do you want to start hand traps or board breakers?
I think start with a deck. If you normal summon a Caspar, you're in there.
True. I think we should start with board breakers though, because one, I think they're more important, and two, I think they're probably what people are playing more than hand traps right now.
Yeah.
So I think what would you guys? I'm curious. I want to know before we go anywhere. What would you say each of you is your number one board breaker right now? That is the best.
Evenly matched.
All right.
It's just evenly matched.
I think all three of us would agree that it is evenly matched. Because, I mean, I think all three of us have either main decked it or are main decking it at the moment. So,
The only thing I don't like about evenly is if Kashtira does their normal board, right? They lock 3 zones, pass. You try to evenly them, they're going to banish that evenly face down. They're going to keep
the
the
whole
shape.
board is...
No, then... Oh, shit.
Yeah,
never
the whole
mind.
board's...
Yeah. Never mind. We literally went over this so many times. All right, never mind. Yeah, you're right. Evenly good card.
Yeah, guys.
So we've discussed one thing to this, that there's no out to evenly, as Alex has just proven.
Keep in mind. Well, the out to evenly is Ibly, or the any expulsion.
Yeah.
You can't. They just
Or
give
just
you
judgment,
things.
getting the judgment.
Don't say it.
From the Patrol George.
God damn it.
Evenly, baby.
Also, decks like Despia and if you really want to, Kashtira, if with zone locking and Ibly, have ways to play around evenly in manners. But other decks like, Labyrinth and all that, they have to be hard open, judgment or just, hold resources. Yeah, hold, or they just not set as much.
Yeah.
That's what they have to do. So that's why, because that's what some of the decks we haven't really mentioned is, this is a really big control format, and we haven't mentioned a lot of the controls. Labyrinth, Trap Tricks, all those kinds of decks with Floodgates, Runics, Pure Runics, anything running around, those stuff, they die to evenly matched, super easy, unless they have the judgment, but you can't do anything about that, so just have 2 evenly.
Yeah. Just 2 evenly.
So we won't touch on evenly matched for much longer, because I think we know that that's one of the best cards ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the next card I would say is Lightning Storm. I like Lightning Storm.
I'm going to disagree with you there.
I think it's a good card in the sense that with so much Labyrinth and especially Trap Tricks with the structure deck coming out, the only thing that I would say argument-wise against Labyrinth that Adam has said to me that we talked about recently was the uprise in people running Heavenly Prison.
Yeah.
Heavenly Prison for that deck, and then doesn't Trap Tricks have a thing where they can't be destroyed?
No.
No, they're just unaffected by trap. The Xyz are unaffected by traps, and the main are unaffected by holes.
No. So I don't personally like Lightning Storm right now for multiple reasons. One,
There's also something against Kashtira.
yeah, it doesn't help against that, and I would rather it doesn't do anything against Runic at all,
It doesn't touch Despia either.
and it doesn't touch Despia.
It pops a fountain.
No, it doesn't, because they can chain any Runic card to summon Hugin.
If they have the Hugin, yeah.
Bro, it's sociable with any Runic.
I know, they just have to have the Runic spell.
their whole deck for runic.
Any of the runic spells do.
I know.
Yeah,
That's
any
why.
runic-
That's what I'm saying. I said I know they just have to have the one
Oh.
runic spell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't like it. If I was gonna play a specific card only for back row, it's gonna be Cyclone because I don't care about these cards that like.
True.
I'm gonna say, most normal trap cards I don't care about. Like I will just play through it most of the time. I care about the floodgates, or the runic field spell, and most runic variants are not playing. They're not playing the Mugen, which is the targeting one.
Yeah.
So they're not playing that. So Cosmic's just better in that sense.
I will agree on some aspect with Cosmic
You
because
better agree on all that.
I agree, but my one counter argument to what you said with not respecting regular traps is D-barrier.
Okay, well
They're
there's
not doing anything against
but
D-barrier
that's
anyway.
the thing. You can't if you lightning storm and they go chain D barrier.
I mean, no, I'm not saying Lightning Storm does anything better against D-barrier. I'm saying like I think regular traps should probably be respected this format.
No. I don't consider D barrier a regular trap. D barrier is a floodgate.
100%.
It's a floodgate, bro.
I
And that's
mean,
just
in what it does,
That's
yeah.
all that's all facts, no printer, right there, for real. Like you can't like ever since. Okay, Red Reboot should have been banned, and I'm glad it's banned. But like at the same time, they should have also like probably hit D barrier.
We experienced technical difficulties there, folks.
Yeah, my mom tried calling us.
It's all right. I can probably just edit that part out.
Right.
If I don't edit that part out of this podcast, skip this part. Okay. Anyways,
Anyway,
next
yeah.
part.
he's saying, dude, he does Cyclone because the traps that you care about can be Cyclone.
No, yes,
Or-
I will agree.
or the-
Cyclone. I'll put Cyclone up there as the next one. I'll agree with you on that. Cyclone has
I just
definitely
don't-
been really good.
I just don't think personally you're gonna get a lot of value out of like I think Lightning Storm's super good whenever you can get a lot of value out of both effects. Where if you can side it in and it's just like, all right, dude, this is gonna go in almost every single game against like all the decks because you either hit a back row or even the combo decks. A lot of like, the good interruptions are like trapped cards that they surge, so you can hit those. Or there are like link monsters that have to be an attack, and you can just lightning so like you can hit those.
Yeah.
But right now they're like it doesn't do anything against Kashtira because if there's good, they either one put it in defense or two, if they prosperity, they put the Goliath underneath the Rise Sword so it can't be destroyed. And then it doesn't. What are the other decks? Like
See,
we had Despia. It doesn't do anything against Despia. Oh, okay, you could actually hit the
You can
back
hit
row.
the back row.
but that's
Well,
not.
that
I don't think
doesn't-
that's worth it. But I think.
Well, that's not the problem.
See, but then okay. Well, I think the next thing that would probably be up on that tier list with Cosmic and Lightning Storm, at least in my okay, maybe you could argue it's gone down in popularity recently, is Book of Eclipse.
So I do like the card.
Yeah,
But I have seen it come down a lot from people playing it.
yeah.
I think it depends what you're expecting.
I think a lot of people are taking it out because they're just realizing, hey, Evelyn's just better, and Cashier going second just loses to like my board.
And I
So
think
I don't need.
I've been seeing a lot of people. I think a lot of people were really underestimating how much they would care about them drawing if they needed to draw, if their opponent
Oh, yeah.
drew about it. Because a lot of people were saying like, oh, I don't care, I'll combo off, I'll do my thing, and then if I can't out their stuff, like okay, like I did my thing anyways. Like I like essentially they're treating it like a Farfa that it's not on the board anymore and it comes back at the end phase. But in a control format, especially where it's slower. Like getting to draw like just one card off flipping your Arise Heart back face up, like your Arise Heart's still there, and you draw an extra card.
Yeah.
And what in a control format, what's their board gonna be? Like you're not putting up the Dragon Link 5 negate boards. You're putting up like a Despia board at best. Like that's probably the most
Yeah.
combo-ish board. Like I'm just saying, like I don't think that's really worth it.
So something I see rising in popularity probably because it's decreasing. Book of Moon.
Yeah.
The moon would be good.
I have
flipping a
seen.
face-up monster to face-down defense position. It's good.
It's just not the match in their face of monster.
We
effects.
we do like Book of Moon, and that's what
Yeah,
another thing I've been seeing coming into even some main decks on the lines of Book of Moon is Enemy Controller. I love
Been good.
Enemy
What are-
Controller.
Econ good in Sprite variants before. Now, Econ is seeing the side deck in.
But
a
what I'm
lot of
saying
decks.
is, it's also I've seen it also being slipped into some mains by people. Mostly
Yeah.
when it was from like in the beginning when people were worrying about Ibli a lot more. But now it's a lot more in the main. But I have seen it as well.
Yeah, it's just so good. Like, if you can just, against Kashira, you summon a monster and just take their Arise Heart, or whenever they try and banish with the Arise Heart, you just take it. That is just so good against
Or
them.
being
'Cause then you can
able-
ban their stuff.
Being able to dodge effects and then take one of their things as well, like it's just super great. For stuff like
you dodge.
Flu and Aluber or whatever. The fucking maybe not Aluber. The one that's when you summon it and searches or whatever, right?
That's Albert.
Yeah, that's Albert.
Yeah, and then fucking being able to dodge stuff like that when and getting able to tribute and then
Yeah.
search as well, like it's just better. It's just really good. And
And against Kashira,
yeah.
if you can take the thing, make a Zeus on it. If you Zeus a Kashira player, bro, they're out of it. They lost.
And-
Sorry.
Use some more, make your own.
One thing people are forgetting, I think, a tech for our little audience at home if they've never read a Yu-Gi-Oh card because they're Yu-Gi-Oh players. Enemy Controller has this first effect as well that changes the battle position of a monster. And a very popular card this format is Baguska. And while that card is in defense mode, it's basically like a Mystic Mine. And Enemy Controller, you don't even got a tribute for this part of the effect. Slap that boy into attack mode. Problems are solved. You didn't even have to do anything. And it's just that easy.
I really forgot about that effect.
So, I think people, like, sure, you could take the Baguska, but you could also just put that thing into attack mode. So,
Yeah. And then your problems are solved.
yeah. So,
And the problem when most people are going for Baguska, it's because
Pass.
they got stopped or their hand's bad, and that means they have nothing else. So
Yeah.
you just put that thing in attack and you just full combo.
yeah. And then you just run it over. And it's not like its attack mode effect is scary. Like, it just is not targetable and can't be destroyed. You just run it over. So,
All right. Moving on to the next board breaker, though, because we've been on this for a little bit. What are your guys' thoughts on Thrust right now?
so that's a
Triple
card.
attack.
So, I like
That's
Thrust.
card board, so he doesn't think about it.
True. I don't have Thrust. I don't own it, but I have played with it on Dueling Book, and I mean I've read the card as well, so I'm pretty well versed. But I mean no, I like the card. I think it's good. And as when I first read it, all I could think about because I'm a Flunder player, so I play Flunder. All I could think about was like this card is crazy. Like I think this card is super good. Being able to put like a Dark Ruler face down and only have to run one, stuff like terraforming and stuff like that. Like just being able to do that, like it's just really great. I think it's pretty good,
Yeah.
but it's hard to main in some state. Like it's, I think.
Right now, I think it's a good card, but I don't think it's good right now.
No.
Like, okay, so here's the thing. I think that card is like the best card ever against Kashira. Because
Absolutely.
Arise Art's a mandatory effect to equip, so you just do anything, equip, and then just go search evenly matched, and you win.
Yeah.
But like, or even matched or anything. But like, I think it takes a specific deck to be able to do it. Also, we're not in a good format to do it because no one's really playing hand trap, so
Yeah.
you have no value time going first with it. And I think it's too steep to side because you side that, and then you play the other cards that go along with it.
Yeah, and well, the plus about it is you can only like it's like with cross out, like you got to play the cards with it and stuff like that. But I think the plus with Thrust is more so than cross out. You probably would have been playing those cards in the first place, or at least in some aspect.
Yeah. So I think Thrust is also good because it searches engine. It
can search.
It searches engine a lot, like if you need it to, which is just crazy. So the deck, I think like, the only deck that can realistically play Thrust right now is Plants. Rika Plants. Because that deck, like, first off, I think it can main Thrust because that deck already has like 12 spots to just do whatever with in its main deck. And you can go second with that deck, and you already played the board breakers because you're not playing Andros right now. And if you open the board breakers, you can just search Unexpected Die and just go full combo because you're already playing 3 Unexpected Die. Or you can search Terraforming to grab the Con or Glamour, which is insane.
This was one of the things I wanted to talk about as well that you mentioned a little bit earlier with the mandatory monster effect and being a good side card. What about that Curry Kara or whatever? I know that you have some opinions on it. I have some opinions on it.
I've changed my opinion.
Oh, okay. So
pretty east.
Yeah, I think the card, if I saw it in someone's side deck, I wouldn't hate it.
See, I am a believer that it's kind of overhyped. I think it's a little overhyped. I think
it was overhyped.
I think it's just a worse nib, in my opinion. From my correct standpoint, I believe that it's a worse nib. And there's no problem with running it. I think if you have it, you probably either pulled it or you spent way too much money. So, play it if you spent the money, I guess. But if you don't have it, don't buy it. Play Nib. Play Lava Golem. Play literally anything else.
I don't think that card is like as good because I think it's fine against Kashtira. It's actually only good against Kashtira, in my opinion.
I'll disagree with you on that in a second.
I think it's like
I guess I'm obscure.
No. Go ahead.
I don't think that is good against Sword Soul. I don't think it's good against Despia and what are the other decks like Trap Tricks and shit. I don't care about it's not good against that or Labyrinth. It's not really good against any Runic deck because there's just better cards to play. So I think if you want a card specifically for Kashtira, just play Evenly Match. Don't play that card.
Yeah, if your locals is full of Kashtira, bro. Yeah, if you're full of Kashtira mirrors and Kashtira only all day, yeah, put Karakura in your deck. Go ahead. But if you're not playing Kashtira, if you got a locals where it's normal people that play the game, don't play it.
So I'm not saying there's not better cards.
Is this a joke deck you're about to say?
No.
I think I know what deck he's gonna say.
I'm not saying there's not better cards, but I don't think it's terrible against Despia or other decks because decks that can play around Nib would still get hit by the Karikura. So like I said, I'm not saying there's not better cards, and Evenleys, if you can afford the Karikura, you probably should be able to afford Evenleys.
Evenleys are $5.
My problem with that logic is basically they have all the other decks that you're talking about that it would be decent-ish against, you have to force out a monster.
Well, no, because first Sword Soul. Again, I'm not saying Nib's not better.
Holy shit, it's horrible.
But they already activate Chi-Jiao every chance they get.
But here's the thing.
Against Despia, half the time they activate Mirror Jade.
That'd be different.
You never want to get rid of
No, but Alex, that's the thing. That's the thing. It'd be different if it tributed all the monsters on the board. It'd be different if it tributed all the monsters on the board like Nibiru, but it only tributes the ones that activate their effect. So, are you really gonna be that hyped about tributing a Chi-Jiao that they already negated your shit with?
No,
this turn.
Yeah, this turn. It's a quick effect.
No, it is not.
It most certainly is a quick effect.
Not.
Which card?
Karakura, bro. Alex didn't know Karakura.
Dude, no, it is not a quick effect. It is not a quick effect.
Gavin, when I was talking to Gavin about it, bro, when I was talking to Gavin about
Don't
it,
trust Gavin. Are you kidding?
he was like, yeah, dude, the end phase of Kashtira, dude, it's great.
This is so what?
bad.
This is why I said Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read.
That
This-
card is ass. No, you're just wrong. That card should never be played. Ever. If I saw that card in the side deck, I'd be pissed.
So now we
It
have
should never be played.
2 people against Karakura and 1 sort of okay on it.
Look, I said it wasn't amazing.
No, it is
I think the
crap.
council
No,
has spoken.
that-
We've spent too much time on this
that card.
shit-ass shit card. Alright?
No, against Kashtira, it's a good card. Because no, shut up for a second.
Man-Eater Bug is more effective.
Shut up for a second. Holy crap! Because Kashtira, all you do is complain
No.
and farm. Holy shit, dude! Kashtira started to play Forbidden Lands, right? And that stops the Book of Eclipse, Book of Moon, Dark. Like, it stops everything that they are trying to stop. Like, people are putting in against them. This, you don't stop this. You force the Arise Heart, Shangri-La summons out standby phase, you go wham. Your board's done. And then you just play the game.
I think similar to how Lightning Storm is best if I think it's similar to how if for Lightning Storm, if how your locals is mostly Labyrinth and Trap Tricks,
Yeah.
play Lightning Storm. If your locals is all Kashtira, play
That card.
Karakura. Now, we will move on to this is one I really would like to get into. Probably I think this will be our last topic for this first episode. I want to talk about some funny personal stories or experiences. Maybe they don't have to be funny, but just some interesting maybe interactions
some-
that have gone
Hey.
few. I can go through like some rapid fire ones to start us off that are funny. I forget what year it was, but like 2015, 16, something like that. I was playing Brilliant Fusion Madolches, and I was at a regional, and one of my first rounds I end up getting paired against a Counter Fairy meta player. And there's a card called, I think it was either Drop Off or Drastic Drop Off. The one that when you draw a card, you discard it. So one of that one. That's its effect. So I drew my card for my turn. And, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players do their thing. I don't even have any cards around here to show, like, an example. But they shuffle their hands, like, it's, and stuff like that. So I shuffled my hand, like a normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Player would when they, you rearrange it and stuff. So I shuffled my hand, and the dude starts looking at me all crazy. He's like, I won't know what card you discarded. How am I... You drew off the top of the card of your deck. I won't know what you discarded. Mind you, I never said a word or argued or did anything with him. So I was like, okay, man, whatever. Like, we'll just, that's fine. Put my cards on the top of my deck. Next game. Cool. You got this one, buddy. Dude calls a judge over because he takes that as a fighting word or fighting sentence. And the judge is like, are you arguing with him? And I was like, no, not at all. This time my opponents next to me are looking at us. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know what's going on. And the judge marks him down as a win. Long story short, I beat him the next 2 games. Or the next game, whatever it was. We might have been on game 2 at that point. But the next 2 games, but I win 2-1. And I go to give him a handshake. And he denies my handshake. Lifts up his mat with his box and cards in there. Utters something. I don't even know what it was. And walks off into the distance. And all my opponents stopped their matches and they were like, what the heck was that? And I was like, dude, I don't know. So that was one of my funny experiences that I've had at a regional. I've had plenty of those.
Oh, all right, Alex. You want to go next or you want me to go next?
I'll go, yeah. I had I think my favorite funny experience from a regional which happens to also be just the fastest Yu-Gi-Oh match I have ever seen and participated in. 2 minutes and 37 seconds total. It was Thunder Dragon format. I was playing Brilliant Thunder. You know, we do the die roll. This guy looks like a good Yu-Gi-Oh player when he sits down too. Like you know, like you can just like look like that. But dude, he sits down and I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, there's no way I'm winning this. I was like trying to top this regional, and you know, I won the die roll. I'm like, sick, let's go. So all I did, activate Brilliant Fusion. Scoops. He's like, next game. He like gets mad.
I've been there.
He was upset.
I've been there.
And I'm like he didn't let me play anything in the graveyard. Nothing. He just scooped. So I was like,
he didn't want you to know.
Whatever. Dude, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm playing against. So I just threw in 3 evenly and 3 whatever else.
It's the best card.
Nib, like Dark Ruler, Nib, that stuff wasn't out yet. So like, I would have thrown in something else for going second, whatever. I don't know. Well, I remember evenly because it's important. So, you know, we do our siding, shuffle up. He cuts my deck like so weird. He's like laying it all out, like doing like weird patterns and shuffle to like make sure I don't open well. I'm looking at my hand. I've got 3 vanilla Thunder Dragon. I've got a dark, and it was like another like random card. Like, my hand was not playable. This man goes, activate Super Agent in hand. He's like, call monster. He reveals evenly matched off the top. Goes, dude, why are you so good? Just left. Didn't sign the paper. Just left.
Evenly matched.
Judge to be like, hey, the guy left on me.
I think for a lot of our stories that we'll tell at the end of these podcasts are going to have to do with evenly matched. I think so.
All right. So mine isn't a regional story. It's just a little like I was at Gabe's house, or one of our sponsors. This was right as like the Salamangreat Rate Structure that came out. So this is what 4 years ago now.
It's
and
a
like
while ago,
I
yeah.
definitely wasn't as good back then. Obviously not.
No.
But I was decent, but I definitely wasn't as good. And Gabe decides to invite his friends over to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! And by the way, I didn't know Gabe had other friends, not to be that mean, but like,
Not Gabe recently, to be fair.
no, I met Gabe like a couple months before that.
I was saying, like, it was recent though.
Knowing Gabe, that's an eternity. So he invites these people over. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And they're all playing like the Salamangreat Structure deck, and they have like other like random like X or whatever. But like you can tell these are casual players. And they walk in, and I just have my deck out. I draw my hand, and I start hand shuffling. You know, the thing that Yu-Gi-Oh players would do. And his friend leans over to Gabe and says, "This guy's a pro player, dude." And keep in mind, I was 16 at the time. I'm a 16-year-old kid, and I was playing Pendulum Orcus, by the way. I wasn't even playing...
Before Orcus cards came out.
It was before Dingirsu and Crescendo. I was playing like just Soul Fusion Orcus cards. And
oh man, or Custrion.
I didn't play that one. I played Galatea and like Babel.
It was basically just an engine to draw too.
Yeah, I was engine to draw too. I didn't actually play Babel. I thought that card was bad in there because like I didn't want to do anything on my opponent's turn. Yeah. Well, it was because there was nothing to do for it. Yeah, you didn't do anything. All you did was like just summon guys out, but I didn't really need guys out. I was just better. And the dude just thought I was like crazy at the game because I like just doing this combo and playing this thing and hand shuffling. I'm like, bro, this thing's ass. What are you talking about? And then I got mirror forced. Like probably that same game, I attacked and I got mirror forced, and that's when I really knew how I was dealing with.
Did you win?
Probably.
So
I don't know. I don't even think you guys had Sunlight Wolves.
They were like $20.
Gabe pilled me on. Well, that's another time.
My last story for this one, I'll end it off here, is what you made me think of when you guys were talking about pro players and all this nonsense. I was a small boy. I was a little child. And if anyone, maybe we can go over this in a topic as a podcast, but if anyone ever gets the dual jitters, You know, you get a little nervous before your match. You get to play off against someone you're a little, you know, maybe a little scared of. They make you a little uneven. But I was playing against, what was his name? It was some like pro player, really good guy. Started with a B. I don't think he plays anymore. What?
Billy Brake?
Yes, Billy Brake. It was at 2015. What was that? 200th YCS. 150th. Was it the 150th? Yeah. So 150th. I don't know. We're on like the 300th now, bro.
No.
It was Necros format. That's all.
Yeah.
It was Necros format. That's all that really matters. And I was playing Cleaforts. And so, I mean, I was on a pretty meta deck. I was playing Cleaforts. And we went with, you know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Club. And we brought one of our friends, Joe. And we were the two people left that were doing good throughout the day. Joe was playing Shaddolls. I was playing Cleaforts. And we were both, I think I had one loss and Joe was undefeated. And it was like round... It was pretty high up there. It was like 6-7. It was something like that. We were chugging it. I think it was this. There was just, I forget how many rounds this one was, but it was like a high number round because this was like one of the biggest YCSs they had in attendances. But anyways, we were showing up and we were going hard, but we were super tired. But one of my opponents that I stroll up on is Billy Brake, and I was like 15 years old or something, and I was like. What the heck? I don't know what I'm going to do against this guy. So I was like, I sit down against him and I like roll my dice and stuff. We're at like table 2 out of like 2,000 people in this room or something. And I'm like sitting there staring at him, shaking. Like I can't even hold my cards like in my hand straight. Like he probably saw everything in my hand. We start the game. I don't even remember if I went first or not, but I think he went first. Dude does full-on the Volleyball Chain, Valk, Necros combo, draws his stuff, the Jidlock, Unicorn, whatnot. I draw my hands, and it's like, you know, a Cleafort Scout, lose a turn, Wavering Eyes, like all these shitty Pendulum cards. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man. Like, I normal summon Carrier and activate Sacrifice. And that was about the extent of my plays. And I got, like, 2-0'd in about 5 minutes while I was shaking my hands. And, like, I know everyone looked at me and was like, this dude is what just happened right now on this table. But moral of the story is, I don't know, actually, what the moral of the story is, but...
Don't pay for it.
Yeah. I have a similar thing to that you have to remind me on the next podcast, but I'm not going to say it today.
All right.
But it was a similar experience.
There we go. You'll have to tune in to the second episode to get the next stories. We'll do this. We'll have this at the end of everyone. We'll tell some new stories at the end. Awesome. So, well, thanks for joining us for Bonerific podcast Yu-Gi-Oh! #1.